All right, y'all. Two more examples to get us through the assignment for today. Let me first let you know that these two examples are going to take care of number 14 and 15 on the second page of the worksheet. Don't feel like you have to print out the whole second page if you want. If you want, you can just flip over the page that you print and then handwrite it on the back of that page, just looking at it on the computer. If you got plenty of paper and ink, then by all means print it, but realize you're only going to do two on the second page. So just be aware of that. All right, so we're still solving by factoring. Again, we need it equal to 0. I chose this one because this one has, well, first of all, it's not equal to 0. But on all the others we've done so far, there was just a number over there, not a number and a variable. But just to show you that it doesn't matter, we're still going to just take this. When we move it over, we're going to combine it with the like term over there. Well, to do that, if it's negative 6n over here, we're going to add 6n to both sides. So now we have n squared plus 8n plus 15 equals 0. So now we look for our greatest common factor. It does not have one. So we want to make sure we know what our b is, which is positive 8. When we multiply a times c, we get 15. We like this one because it doesn't have a GCF and it has a 1 there in front, so it saves us some work. We don't have to do bottoms up. So now we've got a times c equals 15. It's a positive 15. List your factors of 15, do it twice, and the fact that it's positive, remember we need both of these signs to be the same. So we're going to make the first set positive, the second set negative, the next set positive, and then the last set negative. So now we're looking for the combination that when we add these two columns, we will get positive 8. And my combination is going to be x plus 3, x plus 5. Remember, that's still equal to 0. And now we just set up this equal to 0 and that equal to 0 and then solve the two equations. So x equals negative 3. All I did was subtracted 3 from both sides. And on this one, we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. So x is going to equal negative 5. So there are my two answers. And I'm finished. So once we move that 6n to the other side and make it equal to 0, that one was kind of a short one. This next one's going to take a little bit more effort, but don't freak out, we'll be fine. So we look at it, and again, this one's going to go with number 15. This one over here went with number 14 on your worksheet. It is not equal to 0, so let's make it equal to 0. I need to move this negative 3 to the other side, and we're going to combine it, or we're going to move it to add up with that 3 right there. And we're going to do that by adding 3 to both sides. So that gives me 6b squared minus 13b plus 6, and that's now equal to 0. So now let's look for a GCF. Well, this has a 6 and that has a 6, but 6 does not go into 13. So this does not have a GCF. Remember, it has to go into all three terms, and it does not. So we're ready to go ahead and say what our b equals, which is negative 13. And we're ready to go ahead and do our a times c, and that's going to give us a positive 36. All right. So now let's list the factors of 36. I've got 1 and 36. List it twice, like always. I've got 2 and, what's that, 18. 2 and 18. I've got 3 and looks like 12. And I've got 4 and 9. So we've got quite a few factors for this one. Make sure you can see that. So we've got a positive 36. So we're looking for the combination that'll give me positive 36. Remember, it's a positive 36, so we're going to make our signs the same on both sides. Remember, you only do the little zigzag with the negative when your a times c is negative. All right, so let's see which one gives us negative 13. Well, 1 and 36 doesn't. Negative 1 and negative 36 doesn't. I'm going to skip on down and find this one right here. That's negative 4 and negative 9 gives me negative 13. So that's what I'm going to write. Now, if my A was equal to 1, I'd be ready to set these two things up equal to 0 and be done. But my A does not equal 1. So if you remember, now we got to do bottoms up. We're going to take that A and we're going to put it down there and down there. And then we're going to see if we can reduce these fractions. I'm gonna show you the long way, but then eventually you probably, let me scratch that. I'm going to show you the shortcut, because why do a step that we don't have to do? We need to go ahead and reduce these. So that's x minus 2 over 3. And then 9 over 6, well, 3 goes into both of those. So that's going to be 3 over 2 equals 0. Now, if we were factoring, we would want to do bottoms up. Move the 3 over here, move the 2 over here. But that's a step we don't have to do because we're solving right now. We've got our two sets of parentheses. We're ready to make them equal to 0. That's going to be x minus 2/3 equals 0. And then x minus 3 over 2 equals 0. Don't freak out that they're fractions. Fractions are just numbers. If I need to move this negative 2/3 over there, I'm going to add 2 over 3. That's going to give me x equals 2/3. And then if I add 3/2 to both sides on the next one, that's going to give me x equals 3/2. So there are my two answers. Let's say you did bottoms up. So now, if I did bottoms up, I would take that 3 and put it up in front, and then 3x minus 2, I'm going to make that equal to 0, and watch what happens. So now if I add 2 to both sides, that gives me 3x equals 2. If I divide by 3, that gives me x equals 2 over 3rd. Well, isn't that what I got to begin with? So again, if you mess up, and I say mess up, if you do the extra step of doing bottoms up, eventually you're going to end up with the same answer. If you can remember not to do bottoms up, then it's going to save you a step. So you do bottoms up whenever you're factoring. You do not have to do bottoms up when you're solving. So this gets us through this assignment. Remember, on the second page, we're only doing numbers 14 and 15. We'll post some more videos tomorrow and knock out another assignment. Thank you. By the way, miss y'all.